Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. I wanted to make a quick video about Pacific Rim. Now this isn't a review as I actually haven't seen the film at the time of doing this video. However, I have heard that Pacific Rim isn't doing as well as expected and it's actually come in at 3 in the US box office. And I've actually got a theory as to why this is, or at least partially, and it's not a theory that I've really heard in other places, although there's been some similar theories. And what we've heard from various different websites and things like that is this film simply wasn't marketed properly. Things like that basically. The marketing budget wasn't very high. They left the marketing too late. The marketing focused purely on the sort of robots and special effects and things like that. And I would agree with that. That's obviously an issue. My theory is this, and I'll go back to when I very first heard about Pacific Rim. So when I first heard the title, I just assumed it was a World War II film. And I didn't bother clicking on any articles of it because I just wasn't interested. And it's only until I happened to stumble across a screenshot of it, I actually realised it was a sci-fi film, and then became a little more interested in it. And I'm a genre fan, so I'm looking at this stuff fairly often. And I thought, well, if as a genre fan I got a little bit confused with the title, what about mainstream audiences? I actually took to the street to see if mainstream audiences, first of all, heard about Pacific Rim, and if they hadn't, what they thought the film was about. And I'll show you these clips in just a second. And I think that's the issue. And yes, that's partly to do with the marketing of the film, but I think one of the issues that this film has that I haven't heard people talking about is I think the title of this film, Pacific Rim, has done it absolutely no favours because it hasn't given people any idea about what the film was actually about. Couple the fact that this film, the marketing has purely been what looks to be basically a big budget B-movie film, and this is why the film, I think, is not providing as much revenue as people would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some clips now, and these are just a complete cross-section of people who I just sort of grabbed on the street and sort of asked them about Pacific Rim, just to see what their sort of thoughts were, had they heard about Pacific Rim, and I think this is the problem. The film hasn't been marketed properly, but also the actual title of the film just doesn't tell you anything what it's about, and it gives people no idea about what it's like. So check it out. Can you tell me your age first of all?
Yep, 21.
And have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim?
No.
So if I was to say to you there's a film called Pacific Rim, what do you think it would be about?
Something to do with the ocean.
Okay. Any idea any other than that? No? Okay. Do you read film reviews on the internet and things like that?
If it's something I'm really interested in, I will.
Right, can you tell me your age first of all?
18.
And have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim?
Rings a bell.
Rings a bell, does it? If I was to tell you there's a film called Pacific Rim out, any idea what it'd be about? What sort of film would it be?
Rim.
Pacific Rim, yeah.
About the sea.
What kind of genre would it be?
No, sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Okay. First, can you tell me your age?
29.
Okay. Have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim?
No.
If I was to tell you there's a film called Pacific Rim out, do you know any idea what it'd be about?
I would imagine it was the rim of the Pacific.
Okay. Well, what type of film would it be?
Who?
What sort of film would it be? Any idea what sort of genre?
Probably porn.
Porn, fair enough. Okay. And do you read like film reviews and previews on the internet?
Not many.
Okay. All right. Hello. First of all, can you tell me your age?
I'm 17.
And have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim?
No, I haven't.
If I were to say to you there's a film called Pacific Rim out, what do you think of, what sort of film would it be?
Pacific can either mean two things, doesn't it? Ocean or Pacific, passive. Doesn't that have to do anything with peace or anything like that? And then grim is something bad, obviously.
Or what kind of genre do you think it'd be?
Some kind of action film.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
All right. Do you ever read like information about films on the internet before that comes out, things like that?
I always try and watch the trailer before I watch it.
Cool.
I don't think I'd ever go as far as to read into it.
All right, cool. Can you tell me your age first of all?
My age, what do I am? 17.
And have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim? No? If I was to say there's a film called Pacific Rim out, what kind of film do you think it would be?
Something to do with the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and do you ever like read information about films on the internet?
No.
No. First, can you tell me your age?
I'm 45.
And have you heard of a film called Pacific Rim?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell me what it's about?
It's about huge machines that are man-controlled,
Yeah.
and they fight monsters. But machines are now called monsters themselves.
So where did you hear this? Where did you hear about this film?
Saw a trailer for it when I went to see Man of Steel.
Okay.
Seeing trailers on TV as well, and the big billboards.
And is it a film that you want to go and see?
I'm going to see it next weekend.